guys, what is up people? So in this video I'm just going to show you the Atlas skill tree strategies, and the very first one will be the League Start Atlas progression. Alright, I've always introduced this as one of the core things that you will need to do to progress your Atlas, your map, and try to fulfill every single one of them to try to get 132 skill points. Okay, so I'm doing this first in the meantime because POB is not yet updated, and that is why I want to approach this first. So over the past few days, once POB is updated, then I will start to release more of my build guides on league starters, as well as following up with all the improvements and the fixes for all my current builds previously. Okay, alright, and as usual, you can always refer to my PoE notebook under the Atlas skill tree farming strategies for the whole entire list of description, explanations, and links to how you should progress. Alright, so this is the link. Of course, I'll put it in the description below as always. Just have a look and click on it, and of course, yeah, go and read it if you need to. Okay, so first of all, whenever you start your mapping experience, adventure, whatever you want to call it, this is like the very first most important skill tree that you should always get to. Okay, this literally looks like a stickman, you know, like that. Okay, whatever. Yeah, it's always the stickman kind of Atlas tree that progress first, and we are always taking the shaping of the sky, shaping the mountains, shaping the valleys, shaping the seas, all the shaping including keyword missions. This is going to help you progress your map in a sense. Whenever you get a map drop, you always get 1 to 2 tier higher. Okay, and this is how you progress your map in the early stages. I am very sure you will not be hard stuck in the early game as long as you take this. Okay, this is very straightforward. I think there is no explanation needed. Alright, and then next will be always Harbinger. Okay, always Harbinger. So you're gonna take Ominous Arrival, Unspeakable Offensive, and of course your first wave. Alright, yes, some of the builds might struggle with first wave because the Harbinger boss might be a little bit difficult. So if you have problems with the Harbinger boss, then I suggest you can just remove this first. Alright, but so the next question is, why is it always Harbinger? I've explained this many times. Harbinger is going to drop you very important currencies to progress your Atlas. Right, first of all will be Orb of Alchemy. You want to rare your maps as much as possible so that you have more loots, more drops, better drops. You can get better maps, more maps, so on and so forth. Alright, and then Orb of Binding also does the same thing as Alchemy. Okay, so you have 2 currencies that can make your maps rare. And the last one, which is I felt is one of the most important one, is Orb of Horizon. Okay, Orb of Horizon basically changes your map into another one of the map that is in the same tier. So let's just say if you are doing under a T3 map, okay, and there's one of the map, let's say example Mudgazer, you have not completed, you can just take any one of your T3 map and use the Orb of Horizon. You might not get the Mudgazer map immediately, but you might have to spend a bit of it. And that is how you try to complete your Atlas as much as possible with Orb of Horizon. Okay, so yes, Harbinger is the next most important one. And the third one, from here onwards, we are going to take Shrine. Okay, Supplication and basically the 2 nodes over here, Drawn to Power and Syncretism. I think that's how you pronounce it. Yeah. So what is the purpose of Shrine? Shrine basically gives you quite a big pack of mobs around the shrine, and it gives you 2 buffs. Alright, if you follow the notes here, it will basically gives you 2 buffs, either offensively or defensively. Both buff is going to benefit you throughout the whole entire map. Right, your buff is going to last very long. I think it's let me just see, is there any buff? Yeah, 50% increased duration, so it should last at least 1 minute if I remember correctly. Okay, I really can't remember, sorry. So yeah, this buff is gonna last you as long as possible all the way to the boss, and try to clear the boss with the shrine buff. Alright, but of course if you encounter it very early into the map, then you might not get the buff when you are facing the map boss. Okay, so this is one thing to take note of, and I think shrine is a very important factor because it helps you boost your capability to run through the whole maps without problem. Okay, and then next, I would highly recommend to go for June. Alright, June as in betrayal missions. So what we're gonna take, there's a lot here. So first of all, it will be covert stakeouts. This is basically to give you more chance to encounter June. Alright, and then focus investigation with the small note over here. Also more chance to have June missions, and you basically want all of these small little notes because the syndicate members in your maps are 5% more likely to be accompanied by reinforcements. The more reinforcements you have, the more items you can get. Alright, and the whole purpose of these betrayal missions is so that you can unveil the items to unlock many of the various bench crafts that you might need in future. Okay, in future when you need to craft your stuffs to cover up a lot of gaps, let's say attribute, resistance, chaos resistance, your mana cost for non-channeling skills, channeling skills, so on and so forth. There's a lot of unique bench crafts, and I will say most of them comes from Betrayal Lake. So that is why I highly recommend to take this afterwards. And you're just gonna take almost all of the betrayal notes. So bribery as well, effective leadership, and then we will go all the way up to here, which is intelligence gathering. So the whole purpose is, okay, this intelligence gathering isn't really as important, but what we want is actually this. Okay, the small little 3 nodes, which is 5% more likely to be accompanied by reinforcements. Like I mentioned before, when you have more reinforcements means you have more unveiled items being dropped, more chance of it being dropped, right? So yeah, this is the betrayal notes that I would recommend to take. I did not take over here, okay? I did not take over here because first of all, Test of Loyalty is basically just going to up the rank for you. It doesn't help us to unlock more of the unveiled items. And then here, yes, there is a 3% chance to grant additional June missions, but it's quite a feat. It's like 7 points to get here, and I'm afraid after much calculation, right, you will not have enough points to cover the whole entire LS3 that's required that is sufficient or needed for your progression. Okay, so I didn't take here. I intended to give up this section of here. It's not as important as the rest of them. Okay, so this is for your betrayal checkpoint. The next one is basically it's just one of the league mechanics, but I highly recommend Expedition because Expedition is going to give you, it's just one of the best things that you can farm in the early game. Okay, when you actually drop a logbook, by then when you have like 100 points or so, I am going to assume you are already at red tier maps. Okay, so when you are red tier maps or even yellow tier maps, this means your logbooks are going to drop eye level 72 or 70 plus and above, and even eye level 80, right? If you are at eye level 80, then yeah, your logbook is going to be much more worth it. And one logbook that has either Black Scythe or the Sun, you are going to get a lot of currency. I can say easily about 1/4 of a Divine Orb. Alright, or even more. I do not know what is the economy going to be for next league, but every single league without fear, logbooks are extremely expensive at the start. Alright, so do take note of it. So this is just one example, alright? I'm going to use the Expedition as an example. I think it's highly recommended if you want something that can earn you currency very fast. So Hunt for Answers, basically this whole strategy is just going to give you more chance to encounter Expedition. Next will be the Full Circle Expedition here. mainly your ancient writings to have +2 remnants and additional suffix modifier, and then your increased explosive radius, increased number of explosives, so that you can cover the whole entire expedition encounter over there. Because if you do not have enough radius and explosive, right, sometimes you might have to give up one of the remnants or the what do you call that, the runic monsters marker, right? Okay, and next will be, yes, buried knowledge. 50% increased quantity of expedition logbooks dropped by runic monsters. And the rest is just take everything. Okay, just take everything. So when you do the expedition, do bear in mind that you need to always focus on the runic monster markers, right? It is the one that looks like a skeleton head. Okay, I didn't really expedition runic monsters. I'm not sure if I'm just gonna randomly search for image if it does show up. Hopefully it does. No, it doesn't really show. My bad. Yeah, there really isn't one super clear runic monster markers. Maybe. Let me just do a quick one. Come on. Yes, over here. Okay, so this is how it looks like. Okay, so this is how it looks like, and make sure every expedition encounter you take all of it, unless there is no choice where your radius is going to hit one of the remnants that you cannot do and it's right beside a remnant, then forget it, right? But otherwise, always take every single one of it. Okay, and the other thing to look out for is if there's a suffix that shows duplicate runic monsters being spawned, please also take that, because that will double all the runic monsters that will spawn, and only runic monsters will drop logbook. Please remember that. So yes, this is for the expedition, and then the last one will basically be your stream of consciousness. Okay, stream of consciousness is over here, just right below expedition. What it does is your maps cannot be modified by fragments other than divine vessels, and then your maps contain 50% more base chance to contain extra contents. We want to block out everything and try to encounter expedition as much as possible. And because of that, we are going to go below and have all of these smaller nodes. Dimensional barrier, love by sun, black thumb, blah blah blah, is basically going to block every single content other than expedition. And the only exception one I left out was straight and narrow, which is route markers, contracts, and blueprints cannot be found in your map. And I'm going to leave this out because contracts is a very good source of money at the start, right? When you have this kind of contract, let's just say deception, alright? Deception can easily earn you 10C like per contract or even higher. And this is just literally a click, pick, and go. You don't even have to kill any monsters. You don't even have to do any missions or anything. It's very, very straightforward. The route markers, you can accumulate and stack up, and you can sell them for a decent amount of currency as well. So I am not going to block that. And yeah, this is basically how it should look like in your map atlas progression. I'm just going to finish it at 119. This is including all the unique maps also. So you might not be able to finish all your unique maps, and that will result you in like maybe 112 or 115, somewhere around that line. But yeah, nonetheless, this is how it should be. So let's just say if you do not have enough skill points, right, because you haven't even complete all of the what is that, the unique maps, you can remove some of the points. Like let's say over here, alright, Harbinger and your maps have 20% chance to draw additional stack of currency shards. You can remove this, or even stuff like here, right? There's this smaller nodes also here. All of this you can just remove slowly, and then once you have enough points, you can add them back. Alright, you see, I am now already at 113, and this is how I felt it should be. Otherwise, if you do not want to remove this, my alternative is just give up the whole entire area here. Okay, you give up the whole entire area here so that you have a lot of points left. Okay, this is not extremely not the most important, and it takes up a lot of skill points. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It is a whole lot. Like 10 points is really, really a lot. It's very crucial at this stage. And what I can say is the whole purpose of me just taking these 3 notes is I just want to try and unveil every single thing as much as possible before I respec into whatever target farming I want to do. Okay, because when I start respecting my skill tree, I want to make sure I don't take any more June missions and I'm not going back there anymore. That is like the whole purpose. That's why I really value the betrayer notes a lot, because when we are done with everything, we want to make sure that we don't touch it anymore. Alright, unless you really love betrayer, then by all means you can take your time. Okay, and the last thing I want to emphasize is this round. Some of you might ask me, so why are we not taking Eater of World or Searing Exarch anymore or any other things? The reason is because when you are progressing your Atlas, there are a few things to consider. You will not always do Eater of World, you will not always do Searing Exarch, and including the Maven weakness, you also will not keep doing Maven weakness. So there's a very good spread of this among these 3 categories, right? And you will do it let's just say slowly, bit by bit at a time. You won't always be siding on one side. All of the maps will definitely not be Eater of World, and that's why I feel at this stage, right, it is not as crucial. Yes, it does earn you some currencies, but it will not earn you as much when you are actually focusing every single map on it. So just try your best to complete the Atlas first. That is where you start to respec into whichever you want to play, and from there onwards, I think the experience will be much better. Alright, so that's my conclusion on why I did not take any of the 3 big boss categories or nodes in this skill tree. I felt it was not necessary. After 2 weeks of testing, I can deem that it is not as good. Alright, so yes, this is about it. The EMSA FAQ over here. Please read it as well. I'm just going to go through a quick one. So like I say again, the whole point of all these checkpoints is to help you complete your Atlas as fast as possible. When you reach the Betrayer Expedition, this is where you're going to start earning a little bit more currency. Like I said, Expedition is kind of one of the best things to earn currency in the early games, right? No doubt, this thing can never go wrong. Okay, but if you want other stuff like Harvest, Legion, what else is there? Blight. Sure, by all means, you can always just change them whichever you like. Okay, I really don't recommend Delirium at the start. I don't really recommend Breach at the start. And this, what else is there? Abyss as well. Abyss is also not recommended because those league mechanics don't really earn you a lot of currency. Alright, and it takes, like, usually when you take time to do all these little mechanics, of course you want to earn currency or progress somewhere along the line, right? But all this just really can't cut it at this point. Okay, yes, the next one is I did not take essence notes. Alright, because now in the early game, 1 to 2 essence per map is not going to earn you much, right? So there is a lot of, okay, let me just open it again. There is actually a lot of essence node if you were to count it. So over here is 3. Over here is another 3. There will be 6. Here will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 6 plus 7 is 13. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4. So total of 17 skill point nodes. Alright, just to have 1 to 2 essence. And I felt it isn't really worth it at the start. So that's why I completely ignore it. Don't bother about it. Okay. And yeah, like I mentioned, no Eater of World nodes. I already explained it earlier. And Benchcraft is really, really your best friend, okay, to fill up all the gaps of your character requirements or needs. Like resistance, stats, HP, whichever you need, alright. It's really important. You don't really have to go TFT and search for the Benchcraft that you need in future. You don't have to bother about let's just say if you want to play COC, I do not have the most important benchcraft, which is the mana cost to non-channeling skills. Like, gosh, when you have enough currency to transit into that build, but you don't have the benchcraft, it's gonna be a big problem. Okay. So that is why I really highly recommend it. And yeah, hopefully this can bring your league start experience or adventure to a very high end needs of whichever you want. Okay, if you have any other questions, right, I'll be streaming on the first few days of the league. And of course, by all means, you can just ask anything. Right, I will see you in the next video. Thank you guys. Okay, that comes to the end of this video. So if you have any questions, do join the Discord and I will try to answer your questions. And if you like my video, do remember to hit the like and subscribe button. I will see you in the next one. Bye.